So, Boomer, let's start with somebody out there that doesn't even know what cost segregation means, why we would do it, or anything else. Maybe they haven't even, started their first real estate deal. I love Logan's story because 5 years ago, and I may butcher this a little bit, but 5 years ago, he had less than $1 million of real estate. And now, 5 years later, I think he's approaching $250 million of real estate. And he's a phenomenal person, obviously, and he's going to excel in anything he does. But it shows you a roadmap. So for the person out there that maybe they just don't know anything about it, let's start there. What is cost segregation?
So unfortunately, cost segregation, the word itself doesn't really explain what it does. Cost segregation is simply accelerated depreciation. So whenever you purchase a property, every single component inside your property is going to be depreciated on one single line item over 27 and a half years if it's a multifamily property, or over 39 years if it's a commercial property or an Airbnb. So what an engineered cost segregation study does is it'll break your property down into probably 40 or 50 different components and place those components into their shorter and correct class lives. So your goal as an investor is to shorten down the life of as many assets as possible. So we're simply going to place these assets into three different buckets: into a 5-year bucket, a 15-year bucket, and then a 27 and a half or 39-year bucket. Now, back in 2017, whenever Trump released the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, he said any asset that has a class life of less than 20 years, you're able to take 100% bonus depreciation on and reap that all in year one. So it doesn't matter what we put in the 5-year bucket or the 15-year bucket. Those are both less than 20 years. So you're going to be able to fully depreciate those assets immediately in year one. So now you're probably going, what kind of assets go into those different buckets? In the 5-year bucket is going to be things like your flooring, your molding, your kitchen cabinets and countertops, your bathrooms, your window coverings, your light fixtures. If you have a security system, all things like that are going to go in the 5-year bucket. In the 15-year bucket, it's going to be things like your parking lot, your landscaping, and any kind of exterior signs, fences, or walls are all going to go in the 15-year bucket. Everything else structural in terms of your roof, your foundation, your HVAC, all things like that are going to stay in your 27 and a half or 39-year bucket. Now, kind of a rule of thumb and a good way to think about it is anything that makes the building more comfortable or more specialized is what you're going to be able to accelerate. So if you look at a commercial property and you have any kind of specialty electrical, any kind of specialty plumbing, anything like that, that is all more than what the building needs to be operable or livable. And that's what you're going to be able to accelerate. So the 100% bonus depreciation is great because it doesn't matter what we put in those buckets. You're going to be able to fully depreciate those assets immediately in year one. So on a typical multifamily property, you're probably looking at about 20 to 25% that you'll be able to accelerate. In a commercial property, depending on if it's like a completely automatic car wash, if it's a doctor's office or a dentist's office where they have specialty wiring going to their machines and things like that, that's all going to be in the higher depreciation bucket. And one question that I get a lot is, you know what, Boomer, that sounds great that I can depreciate an extra 25% this year, but what about the following years? I don't want you to take all my depreciation now. We're not taking everything right now. We're only taking what the IRS allows. So let's use round numbers here. If you have $1 million property and we're going to be able to accelerate 25% of that, you're going to have an extra $250,000 of depreciation expense in the current year. The remaining 75% that we didn't touch, you're still going to depreciate that over the life of the property over 27 and a half or 39 years. So you're still going to have a lot of depreciation in the following years. We're just giving you a whole lot more now to let you, the smart business person, you, the smart investor, have more money in your pocket now to either buy another property, fix up a property, pay down debt, whatever you want to do. it gives you more cash flow right now.